Imagine a marriage spanning a decade. You're both in your 70s, finally approaching the final act of your financial lives. You sit down to prepare your wills, and the decision you make is explosive. You decide to leave your entire estate to your own children, explicitly bypassing your husband. On the surface, it sounds cold, perhaps even cruel. But then you discover the critical detail. The husband you are cutting out is worth a staggering $1.3 million, while your entire personal net worth is barely a tenth of that. This isn't a story of greed. This is a story of ethical mathematics and financial survival. A story of how one spouse, armed with just $155,000, found the most moral and logical way to navigate a massive wealth disparity, protect her future, and secure her children's legacy. The plan is brilliant, transparent, and absolutely legal. But it's only fair because of the husband's astonishing wealth and his even more astonishing plans for his own fortune. The astonishing wealth gap. Exposed. The Porsche in the garage. To truly appreciate the genius of this plan, we must first confront the sheer scale of the financial disparity. The husband's portfolio is the definition of established wealth. It is estimated at over $1.3 million, anchored by physical, tangible assets. He owns their marital home outright, controls 2 separate income-generating rental properties valued at $1 million, and holds a secure $300,000 in liquid savings. But here's the detail that solidifies his position of wealth: a $200,000 Porsche sitting comfortably in storage. This isn't just a car, it's a statement. It signifies decades of high income, successful investment, and the ability to indulge in high-value, non-essential assets. His income, we know, is 3 times his wife's monthly pension. Now contrast that with his wife. Her assets are fragile and scattered, a modest $30,000 in stocks and $125,000 in equity from an old property. Her total estate is barely $155,000, a sum that, for her husband, would be nothing more than a nice year-end bonus. This gap establishes the fundamental rule of this dilemma. The husband does not need her money. His financial survival is not in question. This freedom to choose is what makes the wife's seemingly ruthless decision entirely justifiable. The husband's cruel twist: charity over blood. The ethical path for the wife is cemented by the husband's own cold calculus regarding his family. It is revealed that he has 1 adult child, but he is estranged from them. This painful family rift has led the husband to make a crucial decision about his $1.3 million empire. After his wife is taken care of, the residual estate, the millions in property and cash, will be donated entirely to charity. This decision carries immense weight. By explicitly choosing philanthropic causes over his own direct bloodline, the husband signals that the purpose of his wealth is not to be passed down through inheritance. He is prioritizing legacy through giving. This immediately removes any moral obligation the wife might have to provide for his side of the family. Since his millions are going to charity anyway, her modest $155,000 is far better spent helping her own children build their futures. But this entire arrangement hinges on one crucial provision: her security. The golden handcuffs, analyzing the life estate. The genius of this plan is that it's based on a fair exchange of security for cash. If the husband passes away first, the wife receives a dual layer of protection that ensures her lifestyle is maintained. First, she gets the life estate in their current home. This is a massive, often misunderstood benefit. It means she has the legal right to live in the home, rent-free, for the rest of her life. The home's underlying ownership may pass to a trust or the charity, but she holds the possessory interest. This solves her single largest financial worry: housing stability in retirement. However, she must be aware of the golden handcuffs. She can't sell the property, and she will likely be responsible for property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. Second, she receives the guaranteed rental income from his 2 properties. This provides a substantial, reliable stream of cash to supplement her $1,200 pension. The security is there, delivered in a reliable income-generating package. Since she is receiving housing and income, the wife is financially whole as a survivor, freeing her to allocate her own assets to the next generation. The modest inheritance justified the ethical allocation of scarcity. The moral compass always points back to need. For the wealthy husband, $155,000 is an insignificant inheritance. For the wife's 2 adult children, that money, split or whole, is a life-altering sum. In today's brutal economy, that amount is precisely what a young family needs for a down payment on a home, a critical component of wealth building. It could be the margin of difference that prevents them from retiring broke. This is a case of ethical resource allocation, directing a modest yet high-impact sum to the people who need it most to break free from the economic squeeze. It is the wife's final act of maternal support, ensuring her legacy is used for immediate, tangible good, rather than being swallowed up by an already vast fortune destined for charity. The logic is flawless. The urgent diagnosis, the catalyst, and the caution. The urgency in this scenario is driven by the husband's diagnosis of early-stage blood cancer. This immediately shifts the conversation from theoretical planning to immediate, critical action. While the diagnosis is a shock, they must remember that modern medicine offers genuine hope. For many early-stage lymphomas and leukemias, 5-year survival rates are incredibly high, often exceeding 90%, even based on data that lags behind current ongoing treatment advances. The cancer diagnosis is not an immediate tragedy. It is a powerful catalyst demanding they stop procrastinating. It forces the final, necessary conversations about money, mortality, and family intentions. Every day they delay formalizing these complex plans, the life estate, the charitable trust, the disinheritance, is a day the entire family structure is at risk of falling apart due to unforeseen illness or accident. The real estate burden. The liquidity crisis. Warning. This couple is heavily, almost dangerously, concentrated in real estate. While the husband has enjoyed excellent returns from his properties, this asset mix carries enormous risks for a couple in their 70s. Real estate is a powerful inflation hedge, true, but it is also the most illiquid asset imaginable. The husband's millions are not easily accessible cash. If the wife needs a large sum for an emergency, selling one of those rental properties is a months-long, stressful, and expensive ordeal. Furthermore, if she inherits the rental income, she inherits the landlord headache, the midnight calls, the plumbing failures, the tax complexities, and the constant threat of bad tenants. This administrative burden is a form of stress that retirees should be actively trying to shed. They must analyze whether they need to diversify a portion of the husband's $300,000 cash savings into passive investments like REITs to maintain a real estate presence without the crushing managerial responsibility. Conclusion: the legal time bomb. The final verdict remains. This plan is ethically justified, financially logical, and mutually protective. It solves the moral dilemma by prioritizing security for the survivor and legacy for the children. However, the arrangement is a legal time bomb waiting to explode if not handled professionally. The life estate is complex. The charitable trust must be perfectly worded. They must immediately engage a qualified estate planning attorney to draft the wills, trusts, and set up all beneficiary designations, which always supersede a will. Any error in these documents could allow the husband's estranged child to launch a legal challenge or subject the estate to massive, unnecessary taxes. Finalizing this complex, brilliant plan is the only way to ensure their 10 years of marriage ends with security and peace, rather than financial dawn and family fighting.